All right, hello class, hello viewers. Today we are going to continue from where we left. So last time we talked about the Tapa states. Today we want to answer this question here. And this question is under this state called the Ndebele state. So the first question that we have, it says, list any 6 groups Mzilikazi fought on his way to Western Zimbabwe. 6 marks. So this question is just asking, Mzilikazi's migration from the Zululand into Western Zimbabwe. Those are very good ones. So very good. In his way paibva kuZululand kwanga kuina chaka achitiza chaka, akasangana nemagroups api, akarwa nemagroups api, aya ndo magroups akarwa nawo on his way from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe. Akasangana neakanga achinzi iwo maBoers, ndobva arwa neakanga achinzi maBoers, ndobva asangana neakanga achinzi maRolo, vakarwa nainzi maRolo, ndobva asangana neakanga achinzi maPed, maKora, maKhoisan, maVenda, maNgwato. These are the groups of people that he fought on his way from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe, including also the Sotho, the Kwena, the Hloka, the Griquas. Ndo vanhu vaakarwa navo in his way from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe. So this question, it usually come on part A. And if they didn't ask you this question here, they can ask you something like this. They can say, let me say, they can write this question. Let me try to write it here. They can ask you to give settlements, right? Settlements established by the Ndebele. Settlements established by the Ndebele south of the Limpopo on their way to Western Zimbabwe during their migration. Inogona kuya zvekare ine 5 marks. Saka unoanswer say question kana yauya yakadai. Vachibvunza ma settlements, not the groups of people they fought. Vakubvunza ma settlements. But kuti ma settlement pakafamba from the Zululand kwanga kuina chaka up to the Western Zimbabwe. Vanga vasingafamba vana kungofamba continuously, vane pavaizorora ipapo tinoti it's a settlement that they established. Pavaizorora tinoti it's a settlement that they establish. So number 1, vakasvika painzi ipo pa, let me write here. Uchazonyasozviona ndakusanangura the migration yacho, but tingokupa ma questions anogona kuuya pa part A. Number 1, vakaenda pane inzi Ikupumulen, right? Ndo number 1. Number 2, vakagara pa settlement yainzi iyo Muhlahlandela. It's MHLA Muhlahlandela. Mamwe mabhuku anoti iMuhlahlandela. Anditika ndobva vaenda painzi pa Egaben. Ndobva vaenda futi painzi pa Mosega papari padhuze nerwizi, roto rwizi unonzi Mosega River. Then vachibva ipapo vakaenda panenzi Endinaneni. I don't know kuti how are you going to pronounce that one. Ameno Mandevele kana aripo, you can help us, but what is really important is for you to know the correct spelling there. Then we have this settlement. If you are good at pronouncing, you can just pronounce this one. Okay, so these are the settlements established by Muzilikas in his way from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe. And these are the groups of people that he fought on his way from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The next question says, describe and explain Muzilika's migration from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe. Describe and explain Muzilika's migration from Zululand to... So Muzilika tudonzoti akafamba sei kubva kuZululand kwanga kuina chaka achitiza chaka kusvika kuWestern Zimbabwe. So first point unofana kuziva, unofana kutipa the reasons behind the migration. The reasons behind what? Behind the migration. So chekutanga ndocho anofana kuziva kuti akambomigrata zvaita sei chete. Ndozvo zvanofana kutanga kuziva izvozvo. Chii chakaita kuti amigrate? Chii ichocho? Number one, Muzilikazi was the king. Muzilikazi was the king of the Kumalo under the leadership of Chaka. And what happens? Muzilikazi refused to hand over the booty to Chaka. So one day he went for a raid. I think that's another point. One day he went for a raid. And when he went for a raid, he come back victoriously, and after he come back, he refused he refused to hand over the booty to Chaka. Akaramba kuendesa akanga apamba kuna Chaka sezvaisiita mazuva ese. Then Chaka ndobvaita se. Chaka responded by sending an army to punish Muzilikazi. Then asenda an army to punish Muzilikazi. Chii chakaitika? Then Muzilikazi, he attacked that army. Yes, akairova yes. Arova army yoyo yes. Ndoba one munhu apukunyuka ndokunoudza Chaka kuti itarohwa uku. Chaka ndopa akachitanga kuuya ega. Ndopa anonzi ipo with less than 300 people. Muzilikazi fled from the Zululand and crossed the Drakensberg mountain. Akutotiza akuya kuno. So one chaunofana kuziva, Chaka Muzilikazi anga ari the king of the Kumalo, but under the supervision or the leadership of Chaka of the Zulu. Then one day Muzilikazi went for the raid, and he comes back victoriously, and he refused to hand over whatever he got from the raid to Chaka. And by so doing, Chaka, he responded, because he was a cruel leader, he responded by sending an army to punish Muzilikazi for being rebellious. Okay? And Muzilikazi attacked that army, and one man only escaped and goes back to Zulu and told Chaka that Muzilikazi is about to flee from Zululand. Then kunonzi ipapo Chaka ndo pakada kusimuka. Then kunzi with less than 300 people. Apana exact number. Tongo zoti vanga vari less than what? 300. So with less than 300 people, Muzilikazi fled. Ndo pakatanga kutiza from the Zululand and crossed the Drakensberg mountain. Okay, after crossing the Drakensberg mountain, he fought number one, the Sotho, and incorporated some of them to increase his number. Kuroti akarwana inzi maSotho. Soon after crossing the Drakensberg mountain, he fought the Sotho and incorporated he incorporated some of them to increase his what? His number. Torah part of his number. Why is it today? I talk to Vanvake since anga abba Zulu with less than 300 people. Okay? Hope you are following there. Then from there, he settled at Ikupumland, and they raided people for cattle and women. They raided people for cattle and women. Okay? So chichakaitika after arova maSotho ndobva asvika ndobva anogara painzi pa Ikupumland. Agara pa Ikupumland. He raided the people who were staying in Ikupumland and took their cattle, number one, and also they raided for the purpose of gaining women. Because remember, they believed, even from the history of the Zulu state, they believed in polygamous system. So vakasvika ndokubva vanoraida vakadzi nemombe, and vakadzi vatiri kutaura havangosiri vakadzi chete. These were beautiful women. That's why up to now, if you check Mandebele, they are so beautiful. Why? Because vana mudhara vavo pavaibva uko vairaida vanhu vachitora vakadzi vakanaka vobva vaita vana navo. That's why up to now Mandebele, they are so beautiful, right? Because between 1825 and 1829, Muzilikazi moved now from Ikupumland. Chichakaita kuti amove inyaya yekuti aiziva kuti Chaka ari kuita sei, ari kutevera. So he moved from Ikupumland into Transvaal settlement at Imhlahlandela. at Transvaal settlement at what? Imhlahlandela. Right? There at Imhlahlandela, there at Imhlahlandela, there at Imhlahlandela. He met Robert Moffat at Imhlahlandela. He met Robert Moffat at Imhlahlandela. And the two became friends. And the two became what? And the two became friends. So amuva kubva mugore 1825 kuinda 1829 akamuva from Inkupumule ndobva aenda paTransvaal settlement at Imhlahlandela. Ndobva asangana nemurume akanga achinzi Robert Moffat at Imhlahlandela. And the two kunorekodwa kuti and the two they become friends. So chichakaitika after that he abandoned the land because of the attacks of the Kora and also the Krikwa. He went to Egaben along Mariko River. He went to Egaben along what? Mariko River. Then they went to Mosega and they abandoned the place due to attacks of the Boers and the Zulu in 1838. Pesa parungu famba stoin. Robert Moffat revisited and the two become what? Friends. Ndopa akadzoka Robert Moffat and ndopa zvakarekodwa kuti and the two became friends. Robert Moffat taught Muzilikazi how to use guns. Ndopa ngapane ushamwari wavo. Ndopa Robert Moffat adzidzisa Muzilikazi how to use a gun. Please, ndoda kuti nditsanangure ipapa ndaubatanidza necolonization of Zimbabwe because there is something which is very, very special about this information about the friendship of Robert Moffat and Muzilikazi. But let me first finish the migration. So Robert Moffat, he taught Muzilikazi how to use guns. They crossed the Limpopo River after divided into two groups. Groups were divided into two. One group was led by senior Induna Ainzi Iye Gundwane Ndwen. Then he arrived in Western Zimbabwe in 1840. They subdued Western Zimbabwe. They subdued the local people called the Rose. Very unfortunate to answer a question the Rose. I mean not she. They subdued the local people called the what? The Rose. So vakushika mu Western Zimbabwe na 1840. Vasika muna 1840 ndobva vakonga the Rose people ndo zvakakonzesa downfall yeRose. Ndobva vakonga the Rose people ndobva vafoma the Ndebele state. Another group was led by Muzilikazi arrived in Western Zimbabwe later about a year after a bitter civil war. Okay? After a what? A bitter civil war. Another group raitungamirirwa naMuzilikazi ndo vakasvikawo muZimbabwe later after a year kurati vakasvika muna 1840 what? 1841. Right, then they established a new capital at Inyati. Right, pane something chadoda kuti ndo matangira akaita Great Zimbabwe akaita Ndebele state. Pane chandoda kuti nditsanangure about ushamwari hwa Robert Moffat naMuzilikazi. So atonyasoteerera. Right, we have this guy Robert Moffat. Right, akazvara mwana akanga achinzi John Smith Moffat. Atonyasoteerera. Then tina Muzilikazi ndobva azvara mwana ainzi chi Lobengula. Ngatione zvino. So ava vakasangana vaviri ava Robert Moffat naMuzilikazi vakasangana and the two became friends. That would be the secret. Then avari my friends. Uyu manje John Smith Moffat paakauya ane chinangwa chekuti achicolonize Zimbabwe. Akashandisa opportunity yekuti iwewe Lobengula, baba vako na baba vangu kureva Muzilikazi na Robert Moffat vanga vari ma friends. Saka tadiwo kuti inini newe sevana vana baba vakanga vari ma friends tivewo ma friends. And the two became friends. And Lobengula, he trusted this guy. Why? Because vana baba vanga vari ma friends. That's why angobvuma zvese zvaitaurwa na John Smith Moffat. No problem yakaitika. So tarisawo relationship yatanga ipa migration ndo yakozono kunyanya konzeresa colonization of what? Of Zimbabwe. Lobengula anga kaoma musoro wake wanga kaoma, but because mwana uya akauya, mwana we friend ya baba vake akamu accepta akateerera some of the things zvaitaura, not knowing kuti they are about to be colonized. Then another question that they can ask you about the Ndebele state, they can ask you about the problems faced by the Ndebele during their what? During their migration. So ndichangomalista panapa ma-problems part B kunobvunza ma-problems faced by the Ndebele during their what? Migration. So as they were migrating, pakaita number one problem of drought. Drought. Number two, pakaita problem ye lack of food. Yeah, lack of food. Number three, pakaita problem of loss of livestock. Of course, kana vairwa pakatoitawo loss of what? Loss of life. Not but a secret. And also pakaita problem of lack of grazing pastures. Grazing pastures pekuti vafudzire chi mombe dzavo. Anditi? Then also zvimwe futi zvakaitika pakaitika ainzi ma-succession what? Ma-succession disputes. See, succession disputes. Ndobva paita futi another problem of tsetse fly. They were being attacked by tsetse fly kuti zvekutamba. Tsetse flies. Anditika? Then also futi pakaita problem of outbreak of diseases. Outbreak of diseases. Like what? Like malaria. Malaria. Then chimwe chakaitika, it was the problem of attacks from wild animals. Attacks from wild animals. Mukadzi musango idzi vaito attack, of course, because vaifamba musango. And also pakaita problem of loss of women to other groups. Ivo vaitora vakadzi vakanaka, but vakatoluzawo vavo. Loss of women to other groups. Drungo kupama problem avakasangana nawo futi. Then another problem, it was family separation. Because vamwe vazotora vakadzi, vamwe vachitorwawo vavo, so pakava ne family what? Family separation. Family separation. Okay? Then also another problem, it was the problem of language barriers. Language barriers. Communication yainetsa. Anditi? Then also more problem ingava ichiko. Problem. Yeah, maybe crossing of flooded rivers, like Wanarimbopo. Crossing of flooded rivers. Neku cross afuti ma big mountains. Crossing of big mountains, it becomes a what? A problem. And also the journey was too long. Or the journey was tiresome. Yakakurisa zvaitonetesa. Do ma problem, do imwe question anogona kubvunza ishi. Do question yavanogona kubvunza ishi. Triteze. Right. Then from there, today tell about part C ya T9. Were the Kumalo affected by the migration from Zululand to Western Zimbabwe? Vaka affectwa zvakadi makumalo. Answer itoripo. Ndakatoipindura already this one. So, in a broad sense, the Kumalo were affected by this migration that, number one, they married women from other defeated groups, which means Israel culture yavo. Number one, those are affected. Two, they adopted the Shona culture and they started to pay tribute to the Shona spirit mediums. That's number two. They were taught how to use guns by Robert Moffat, which they continued to use even after the migration. That's number three. But guns, but they were affected because and when they got there, they were no longer relied on raiding, but they start practice other economic what? Activities. Remember, pavaifamba vachibva kuZululand vachiuya kuWestern Zimbabwe, these people wanted they only rely on raiding. Because vanga vasina time yekuti vaite cultivation. but kunozopaka panewo kamukana kekuti vairimawo vachiitawo zvakasiyana-siyana nditi. Then however, those nongoreva nevertheless, however the Kumalo did not change their leader. Up and down, however the Kumalo were not affected. That total another point. However the Kumalo did not change their leader. Number one, kurata vanako affected. Number two, they continued to speak in Ndebele language. Kurata vanako affected. Number two, they continue use same tactics of war. Therefore, they were lessly affected by this migration. And not vanako affected, but they were lessly. Take note of this word. They were lessly. But the movement did not. What to contradict? That's it. Then moving on to the next. I have another question here. My way. Susanna to teach us. Outlining 5 settlements established by Mzilikas during his migration. Sir. Right. Then my problems are. Then party C, why Mzilikas let them develop for so long? Number one reason, he was an absolute ruler who did not tolerate nonsense. That's why he let them develop for so long. He had good leadership qualities. He had a strong army, superior weapons, better military tactics. He was trusted by his people. The next question that we are going to deal with, of course, you need to know a bit about the Rosi state. The Rosi state. Let me check my time. Okay, let me try to explain this one, these questions here, so that because this is my last video on African history. Do not remember a bit on European history. Okay. All right. The next question that we have, it says, name any 6 missionaries who came to Zimbabwe. 6 missionaries who came to Zimbabwe. T9 Simon Bies. T9 Knight Bruce Gabriel Bies. T9 Charles Helm. Uyain's Reverend Charles Helm. Kwetain's William Shoes. Kwetain's Thomas Morgan. John Smith Moffat. Kwetain's Robert Moffat. Doma missionaries who came to Zimbabwe. Number B, yakubvunza kuti outline my problems faced by missionaries in Zimbabwe. Vakasangana nematambudziko api missionary muno muZimbabwe. The api matambudziko avakasangana nawo. So iwewe ukabvunza kuti maproblem akasangana chero vakapa a specific group of missionaries, ndo maanswer atongodaiwa. Number 1, pakava an outbreak of what? Of diseases like malaria and yellow fever. Ndo problem yekutanga yavakasangana nawo. Number 2, problem yavakasangana nayo muno muZimbabwe, it was poor transport and communication as the journey had to be made by foot or cattle wagons. So ndo another what? Problem. Then also another problem, it was the problem of language what? Barriers, as the Shona and the whites spoke different what? Languages. Right? Pakavane opposition from the what? From the Muslims. Ma Muslims I can be now achiti follow I Muslim. Ma missionaries I can be now achiti follow ichi Christianity. So pakavane opposition from the Muslims. Then also pakavane opposition from the African traditional leaders. Because ma African traditional leaders aiti munhu wese anofana kuteedzera culture yedu yemaZimbabweans. Vamwe vachiti uyai kuChristianity zvichingodaro. So pakavane kunetsana. Then also there was a problem of poor security. And also pakavane resistance to education by locals. Vanhu pavaida kudzidziswa vairamba. It's a problem. Varungu vaida kudzidzisa, vanhu vatema vachiramba kudzidza. Right? Also pakavane resistance to Christianity. Vanhu vairamba zvichinamato. And some of the missionaries were killed as they made journeys across an untamed land. Kurati vaiurawa varungu pavaenda kwese kwavanenge vasina kubvumirwa vaiurawa. Then also there was lack of proper medication. That's why some of them they died due to diseases. Then also the African climate was hostile. Kurati was not friendly and unforgiving with plenty of sunshine. Ice. So climate yedu yanga very very hostile to them. Right? There was also delays in given permission to operate. Kumbira permission kunana lo bengula nse vainonokerwa kupuwa permission iyoyo yakava problem yavakasangana nayo. Then part C, to what extent did the developed people then contribute to the failure of the missionaries to win converts in the region at that time? tingati here vatungamiriri vendevele ndio vakakonzeresa kuti varungu vafeile? Tingati ndizvo here? Yes, to a great extent, the other factors led to the failure of the missionaries. These factors include poor communication, poor infrastructure, lack of proper medication, and also outbreak of diseases. Ndatanga ne another side. Ndakuti however, marulers wakacontribute zvishoma. Nditika the ndevele rulers contribute to the failure of the missionaries because number one, they relocate or kill. Kurati vai kubvisa mudunhu ravo. They relocate or kill kana kuuraya anyone following the spread of Christianity. For example, pane murume ainzi Headman Mayabe was killed. No point yega inotaura contribution mandevele rulers towards the failure of the missionaries. Then another question, yes. Alright, next question, name any 6 mission stations established by missionaries in Zimbabwe. Number 1, ma mission station acho number 1 vakaestablisha yainzi Chishawasha. Number 2 vakaestablisha yainzi Hope Fountain. Number 3 vakaestablisha Inyati, Impandeni, Mudavanu, Morgenista. Esaya ma mission station established by the missionaries in Zimbabwe. Then ma works of the missionaries, mabasa avaimboitei varungu avari muno, ma missionaries avari muno vaitei. Number 1, they opened ma mission station, for example Chishawasha kana kuti Mudavanu kana kuti Impandeni. And also they taught Africans how to read and what? And write. And they inoculated the Ndebele cattle, they treated the Ndebele cattle. They also repair Mzilika's guns. They grow crops such as maize. They also developed the infrastructure. They also build ma schools. Ndo mabasa vaita. They build also ma hospitals. They treated the sick. They discouraged the Shona culture of killing of the twins. And they also taught Africans new skills of carpentry and building. Nezvimwe zvakangodaro. Then they also converted few Ndebele to Christianity. Why they converted a few? Because pakanga paine a serious resistance. Then ndobva another question pama missionary. Pakanzi describe ways used by missionaries to resist the missionaries. Ayo, paifana kunzi describe ways used by the Africans up. Yeah. Ways used by Africans here. Ways used by Africans to resist what? To resist missionaries, right? So, chi chavakaita ndedzipi nzira dzavakashandisa kuresista ma missionaries kuvadzivisa kuti vasaenderera mberi nebasa ravo. Number 1, they accused the whites for being ma spies. Ndo chekutanga. Number 2, they delay giving the whites what? Permission to operate. Number 3, they forbid the Africans to join Christianity. I told them, join ma spies, vanyengeri vana. They move away from the white settlements. They refused to attend ma schools. They refused to give ma missionaries food. They killed some of the missionaries. That's how they resist my whites, my missionaries. They refused to work for the missionaries. They also continued with their raiding activities, although the whites were saying it was unholy. They refused to accept some gifts from the missionaries. They accused missionaries of using wrong routes. Then they kill them. Right, where the Africans successful in resisting the missionaries at that time. Yes, the Africans were successful in resisting what? The missionaries at that time, in the sense that missionary activities were restricted. Number 1, some missionaries were killed. Number 2, only few people were converted to Christianity. Number 3, and also only few people attended the school. And they refused to learn new language. During that time, but this time, but during that time vakabudirira because of these what reasons. But however, the Africans failed because some people were converted to Christianity. Yet their main aim by resisting ma-Africans yanga iri kuti kusajoina. Saka the fact yekuti kune vakajoina, so ma-Africans vakafela. They failed because some people were converted to what? To Christianity. And some people were educated. And mission stations were what? Were established. Though vairamba zvese izvozvo. Anditika. Then also moving on, yeah, quite a Portuguese kuno. Let me check my time because this is the last video on African history. And also my time. Time is money. So you can just read on your own some of the things here. Let me just do it. Suggest 6 reasons why the Portuguese came into the Mutapa state. 6 reasons. 1, vakawira kumutapa to colonize the Mutapa. That's number 1. Number 2, to control gold mining. Number 3, to avenge the death of Father Gonzalo da Silveira, to establish my trading post. And also other reasons is that they wanted to control trade, they wanted to set up the Prazo system, and they also wanted to spread Christianity. Okay? Then part B ndo bayatiyo. Describe the coming or the penetration. Why ndakati the coming? When that was what penetration is whatever. Penetration or the coming of the Portuguese into the Mutapa state. So kana uchi describe kuuya unofanira kuti kuti vakauya sei, vakaenda nepi, vakabva nepi, vakaendepi. Ndipo unongotsanangura the coming of the what? Portuguese in the Mutapa state. Number 1, the Portuguese arrived at Sofala in 1506 and took over Sofala from the Arabs and the Swahili. Those step yakatanga kutora yekutanga. And also between 1550 and 1630, the Portuguese made various attempts to control the Mutapa state, which they deal with directly. Then also they established a number of trading posts. Those are vakaita kuti vapinde. Vakatanga establish the number of what? Trading posts, well known as the feiras in the interior of the Mutapa state. Ma trading posts aizovabatsira kuti vaitozowana access yekuti vapinde into the what? Into the Mutapa state as a way of trading. And these trading posts include Masapa, Dambarara, Masekesa. At the centers, there are some churches. Churches. These centers were headed by captain of the gates. Their duties was to control individual traders and also handle conflicts in the community. Uruona zvavaita vachipinda bit by bit kusvika vazonopinda mupolitical system. Right? Initially, the relations with the Mutapa was of tributary nature. Tribute. With the Portuguese paying tribute to the Mutapa rulers called the Kuva in somewhere. Right, in 1561, Father Gonzalo da Silveira was killed after he had converted Negomo Mapunza Gutu and his wife, Negomo Mapunza Gutu, Negomo Mapunza Gutu and his wife Chiwuyu to Christianity. Those are our Father Gonzalo was the first missionary to visit the Mutapa state. Then one of the leaders ainzi Negomo Mapunza Gutu nemukadzi wake ainzi Chiwuyu vakabva vatendeuka. Anditika vakatopuwa mazita matsva vanhu. Right, uyu ndio anofana akazonzi Sebastian. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Negomo was influenced by the Muslims and the Shona traditions leaders that Father Gonzalo was a witch and a spy. His death created tension between the Shona and the Portuguese. So kufa kwazeta Father Gonzalo da Silveira zvakakonzeresa ruvengo rwakanga rwakakurisa pakati pemashona nemaPortuguese. Right, the Portuguese decided to get direct entry into the Mutapa state. Why now? Vanga vakuda revenge the death of Father Gonzalo da Silveira. They will now want to revenge the death of their priest, ainzi Father Gonzalo da Silveira. And they finally got into the Mutapa state. Okay. Did the coming of the Portuguese benefit the people of the Mutapa state? Explain your answer. Saka I want to kuuya kwema Portuguese kune here any benefit yakakauyisa kuvanhu vekumutapa? Yes, yanga iriko. Chinzwa. The people of the Mutapa state benefited largely because of the penetration of the Portuguese, in the sense that, number one, new crops was introduced. For example, maize. They were taught new farming methods. That's number two. They were taught new mining methods. That's number three. They gained the protection from the Portuguese against other states. Ndoma benefits avakawana due to the coming of the Portuguese in the Mutapa state. One, they got new crops such as maize. Number two, they were taught new farming methods. Number three, they were taught new mining methods. Number four, they gained also protection from the Portuguese against other states. So you also don't that kind of great Zimbabwe pairing my maize. No, yakatouya nemaPortuguese. Right. However, takutaurawo manani benefit. Both vakati benefit ochaisa this one to great extent. Then kuno kutakudawo chi manani benefits. Right? Conversely, the people of Mutapa state also experienced somewhat non-benefits. However, the people of the Mutapa state did not benefit. They experienced some non-benefits as African women were raped in the brazeros, unfair trade, and also there was forced labor. But not papa nema manani benefits. African women were raped in brazeros. Panga pana unfair trade, vanhu vatema vaendesa goridhe pressure spinner ravo vachipiwa zvinhu zvisina basa like maspirits and stuff like that, mamira, maspunu. Saka trade yanga isiri fair. Then also there was forced labor, vanga vakufoswa kuti vashande. Then last question, name any 5 minerals mined during the early Iron Age. Mamineral aya vakabvunza mamineral of mined Great Zimbabwe, Mutapa, Rozvi, Ndebele, Zulu, no any state. Do ma mineral acho havana gold, silver, diamond, copper, tin, iron. Do ma mineral acho waya. Right. Then next question and ofunga kuti iri very very important and tofana kuti titoita. Right. Parikunzi describe and explain 3 economic and 3 social changes brought by the use of iron technology. Munoita kuti iron kudhara vanhu vaishandisa matombo sematurus. So pane nguva yekuti kushandiswa kwematombo kwakapera. Kuuya kwe-iron technology kwakakonzeresa change in the economic sector. Saka todaona ma-changes acho in the economic kuti chakaitika. Number one, pakatanga they started to practice what you call crop cultivation was now done at large scale. They grow crops such as mana, rapoko, sorghum, millet, and the like. Crop cultivation yanga iri important because it was there to ensure food security. So kana uchitsanangura mapoinda question that describe and explain kana kuti any question that you are going to answer in the final examination unofana kutiudza change iripo ndeyekuti crop cultivation was now done at large scale. Alright, uri kuti kudii vairima chii vaita crop cultivation echi, they grow crops such as Opama example. Alright, kuita growing of crops akaita sana rapoko, millet, nana sorghum zanga zvakakoshere ndo panda kutaura kuti crop cultivation was important because it ensures food security. So unofana kutiudza change zvaitwa muchange nezvanga zvakakoshera change. Tell us change, what was the activity inside that change and what was the importance of that activity. Urubata secret, right? Then number 2, economic change. Hunting become more efficient due to the use of iron tools. Yanga yakuna kids because anga kwanisawo kuita hunting of big animals. So don't change yanga report hunting, it becomes more efficient. Yanga yakunyaso kuita. Right? They were now hunting big animals like elephant. From elephant they got ivory, which they use for trade. Hunting was important as it supplement their diet. Then another thing, they started to practice pastoralism. Pastoralism is animal rearing. right? They kept my livestock like cattle, sheep, and goats. Cattle was important for trade, and therefore pastoralism yanga ichiita ensuring food what? Security. They started the payment of tribute. Zakatanga pakauya iron technology. They started the payment of what? Tribute. Tribute was paid to the king. Wakutanangura was paid the king. Vachitire as a sign of respect and loyalty. It was paid in form of cattle, iron tools, grain, and the like. There was also vakatanga in the division of labor based on gender. Men were doing hunting. Females and children were doing what? Gathering. Division of labor. Moving on to the social changes, they started to settle at permanent places. One, remember, Makoiko and Masani go move from one place to another, and they gara in groups of 50-50. And but because of the introduction of iron technology, van vakatanga kugara from permanent places. They built my houses made up of pole and dagger, especially vakanga vachigara pa Great Zimbabwe. There was now separation between the sitting room and the bedrooms. But kumashure kupaishanza ma iron tools kwakusina separation. Alright, lobola was paid in form of cattle, iron tools, and even grain. It was paid as a sign of appreciation. Kwete kuti uri kutenga munhu kungo appreciate kuti makanizvarira mukadzi akanaka. Lobola increased unity in the state. Right, there was also division of labor, pinda futi ku social. Okay? Then part C. To what extent was the introduction of iron tools a positive agent of change? Pavari kuti a positive agent of change. Vari kuti to what extent the introduction of iron technology benefit the people? Chete, when something becomes a positive agent of change, it means that thing, it brings benefits. This is okay. Of iron tools a negative, it brings none benefits. This okay? So it is highly true, it is highly true to point out that the introduction of iron tools was a positive agent of change in the sense that hunting became more efficient. Younger benefit because hunting became more efficient. Number two, crop cultivation was now done at large scale. That's number two. They started to do mining, which promoted trade. That's number three. Trade led to accumulation of wealth. Trade. Even up to now, if you want to be rich, do trade. Right? Then also pastoralism, it ensures food what? Security. The coming of the iron technology, it brought more benefits. Okay? Or it was a positive agent of change. Wakuchinda to the other side, wakutaura machi manani benefits avaka experience aho. Wakuti nonetheless, the introduction of iron tools was also a negative agent of change. It brought some nani benefits because number one, the rich started to exploit the poor. Kushandisa varombo chaiko chaiko. Two, there was exploitation of women by men. Kujinyirwa kwa vakadzi nevarume. Right? And also there was loss of life due to raids. No pakatanga je raiding papa. Saka paka vaone loss of what? Loss of life. So this is the end, guys. I hope you assisted. Ndinoimba kuti uchawana zvekunonyora pari kunonyorwa examination. I hope you are going to get something to write. So this is the end of the book. Ndichadzoka ndotsanangura about European history. Okay? So keep on following. Ndikaonawo ma subscribers akawedzerawo zvinondipushawo kuti ndiite mamwe videos on European. But ukaona ndisina kuita zakuti hamusi kusubscribe. Because I'm helping you, so you have to also subscribe. Okay? Tell others, share the channel, or share our channel. Zvichakubatsirawo kuti umwe wako, hama yako, kana umwe munhu anobatsirika on this channel. Because information that we share is very, very important. So if you want to join our online lessons, if you are going to write next year, June or November, contact me on this number so that you can join our online lessons as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Aisinguva kutombononoka kana. Gara wadya magetsi anoita sei? Anoenda. Andedika. That's good. So ndikondakteni namba idzo. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share our channel. Please share channel yedu, isawo ku YouTube, isawo ku Facebook, isa pa status pako, isa kwese. Ndikaona ma subscribers awedzera zvinondipusha kuti ndidziwo kuda kuita ma videos akawanda. So guys, I love you so much. Thank you for your support. Guys. I know you are going to share this channel. You are going to send it to your friends, your loved ones, my groups, my WhatsApp and stuff like that. Just to go and share this channel. Okay, may God bless you. I know you are going to pass. Wish you good luck. I know you are going to pass. If you follow all these videos, you are going to pass.